My hair, I guess. No, but your great-grandfather was, great-grandmother was French. His name was Dubois.
Dubois?
Dubois, yeah. D-U, capital B-O-I-S, I think it's spelled.
Is he really related to Louis the 15th or something like that?
My father had the family tree. He went and got the book from his cousin back in Newark, back in New Jersey. And really descended from some king or duke or something.
Which one, you know?
It was a Louis somebody.
Yeah, a lot of Louis.
Yeah, no. It's been so long
That
now.
I've got, he slept in.
Huh?
He says he thinks he slept in that bed he's got now.
Oh.
You know, when I was in Mexico City, I got the bed Cortez slept in.
Yeah, he left his sword there.
Oh, it was a terrible bed. It had a great sag in it.
Where'd you see that?
In Mexico City.
Oh, Mexico City.
Yeah.
Oh.
I slept in Cortez's bed.
George was down there, when was it? Last spring, I think.
Was it?
He went with Billy down there. Yeah, he's been letting her go to Europe and all over, and he stayed home. But this time he went along. I was surprised. She's been overseas twice with her mother.
They're doing pretty good. They must have quite a bit of money, huh?
Yeah, I guess she's worked for 28 or 29 years for the same office. She works for 3 lawyers down in the public service
That's
building.
pretty money, yeah. She's making
Mhm.
That's pretty good money.
Yeah, he never emailed. More money than I make. More money than I make than I have been working for 29 years.
Hmm?
I said, she's making more money than I make.
Yeah, she hates to give up work because she makes good money. And
Well, anyway, Mike, you're making more money than Kenny is.
hmm?
Yeah, well, Kenny, Dad and Mom just talked to Kenny in Germany this week.
Yeah, we called
Yeah.
Germany the other night.
You what?
We called Germany.
You did?
Yeah, we talked to Kenny and Pammy.
Oh, how wonderful. That's by cable, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a transatlantic cable.
Uh-huh.
Pretty exciting.
I should say. Are they both working?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Kenny, they bought a Mercedes, an old 57 Mercedes, which is a very fancy car.
Oh.
And they live about 30 miles from the base, don't they? 30 miles from the base.
Now, what's this town where they are?
Well, they actually live in a little place called Karlsruhe.
Carlsbad?
Bischofsheim, yeah.
Oh.
You get that?
Karlsruhe is where the headquarters of the Third Armored Division is, I believe.
Yeah. Well, that's...
He works in a place called Karlsruhe. And
That's Ken.
right,
And what does he do?
he's the assistant editor now of the Spearhead, which is the Third Armored Division's newspaper,
My.
which is affiliated with Stars and Stripes, which is the
Oh.
well-known one. And he may be the editor of the paper in about 3 months, he says.
Oh, my.
He's also doing photography for them, and he does a thing called Ready Spearhead, which is the well, it's kind of like the official line. He writes little rules and a guidebook for behavior for the various soldiers and what they do.
Isn't that wonderful?
Yeah.
How old is Ken?
23.
23, only 23. My goodness, he almost beat his father, didn't he? And
You better not beat his father. Well, he's not as smart as his father, but he'll do pretty good.
Huh?
He's not as smart as his father, but he'll do all right.
I'm smarter than my father, but I'm not as shifty.
Oh, I see. He's shifty, is he?
He's shifty.
He never used to be. He must have changed.
Well, he was so shifty, he just never let you know before.
Oh.
Let you know.
You know what he used to say? He was born in a little small hospital on Williams Avenue, and there was a fruit tree outside the window there. So afterward, when he was old enough to understand, when we'd drive by there in the car, he'd say, "Mother, remember when you had me there in the hospital, I used to go out, climb out the window at night and get fruit off that tree."
You were pretty shifty, all right.
You know, over there on the, over there by the Humane Society on Columbia Drive,
Yeah?
where they used to get the milk.
Mm-hmm.
Remember when he and Russell went off the road over there or something on a go-kart?
Down by the Humane Society.
Oh, I know they did all kinds of crazy stunts.
Yeah, somebody hit him off the road in a car or something.
We never told you that. Oh.
Huh?
We never told you that.
Boy.
Remember that car we had with the steel wheels?
Yeah?
We used to go down to get the milk down at the Humane Society. There was a guy down there had a cow. Don't you remember we used to go down and get a quart of milk every day when we lived on Russet
I
Street?
don't remember that.
When you lived on Russet Street.
Yeah?
And the little go bus didn't have any lights.
Oh, one of these
Columbia,
little,
Columbia Boulevard. At
oh.
night, one night, and we got hit by a car.
You were hit?
Well, the car was hit. It didn't hurt
You
us.
couldn't have been hurt very bad. I'd have known about it.
No.
Hmm.
Remember the time I lost my swimming suit on 5 Mile Lake, don't you?
You lost what?
My swimming suit. It was really embarrassing hitchhiking home.
I'll never forget the time we were down picking blackberries. We used to go down by the racetrack there. They used to call it the White Road on Union Avenue. It's down where the racetrack is now. And there was lots of blackberries, wild blackberries. So I'd take the baby buggy. It was always a baby. I'd take the baby buggy and put the two smallest ones in it, and the older ones, they'd run alongside with me. And then they'd help pick the berries, and sometimes they'd stop for a swim in, what was the name of that, Arrowhead Lake? Dirty little old lake down there.
Arrowhead Lake, yeah.
And one girl, the girls suggested I learn to swim, so they had me floating in the river. I was scared to death I was going to drown.
You remember the time we were picking blackberries? You and I were picking blackberries down below the paper mill?
Yeah.
And we nearly got hit by the train?
Yeah, I remember that. I've thought of that a lot of times.
And that was really scary.
Yeah. Yeah, he pulled me off the track. He said, Mother, the train's coming.
That saved your life.
Yeah, he sure did.
You owe me a nickel.
You were too young to remember that, I guess. The time that Russell was always pulling all kinds of stunts. He saw this car parked across the street where they were building a new home on the corner, and there was a sand pile there right in front of Cooper's. Remember? Melvin Cooper?
Yeah.
Well, you were about 6 or 7 then, and whatever Russell wanted you to do, you'd always do, of course. You'd follow the leader.
Of course, he was beating me up if I didn't.
So he started up the engine. He was only 2 years old, but he started up the engine, and he could only get as far as the sand pile. He couldn't get any further.
I don't know how he did that. He got that thing going down the street. What was it? It's an old car. Belonged to the doctor, didn't it?
You what?
Belonged to a doctor.
Yeah, I think it did.
I did that one too. I taught Kenny. We had an old 39 DeSoto, an old blue coupe, and I taught Kenny into starting it once. And he drove it about 8 feet into a driveway. Remember that?
Okay, that's when his bad driving record first started.
Yes.
He's piled up a lot of cars since then. Quite a record.
Then the kids used to go down to the slough, and they'd bring home those awful crappies, and I'd clean them and fry them.
Yeah, we were lucky to have them. Remember the
Nasty
pigeon?
little tiny fish.
Remember the pigeon Albert brought home?
Huh?
Remember the pigeon that Albert brought home?
Yeah.
Put underneath the house?
I had a squab dinner off of it.
Yeah, that's right, because Albert leaned on it underneath the house when he got underneath his knee or something and crunched it.
Another time, Albert was always finding things. He'd find one day he found a pheasant that had been knocked over by a car, I guess. It was still warm. So I didn't know how to take the feathers off. I wanted to save the feathers. I thought I'd put them on a hat or something. So I asked the postman how to take the feathers off for the woman behind me. I guess she lived in the next street. She knew how to skin the pheasant. So I skinned it, saved it, and dried it, and finally I threw it away. I didn't like the looks of it.
Albert, he was in all kinds of problems. Remember the time he came home with somebody stabbed him in the bottom with a jackknife?
Oh, do I remember? Oh, he could have bled to death.
Yeah, it was terrible.
He had long underwear on, the blood went right through. When I dropped that underwear in the tub of water, it was just as red as it could be. Oh.
And some kid at school stabbed him.
Right in the bottom.
Yeah, and the doctor,
Was he a midget?
we took him to the doctor. The doctor said it looked just a little closer to something. I forget what it was. He would have died. Would have killed him.
Very close. But the point is, you read about stabbings now, they had them then. It hasn't really changed much.
Now it was so prone to accidents. Always accidents. Broke his leg twice.
Yeah.
See the one that jumped over the fire?
Yeah.
He jumped over the fire.
Yeah, they were singing and dancing around the bonfire.
I'll never forgive him though. I remember I found a chicken down by the paper factory one day, and it had a bent neck. It was a baby chicken, had a bent neck. And I brought him home. He was alive, and I was going to keep him and raise him. And Albert wanted to straighten that neck.
Oh.
And I had it on the back porch. And he straightened that chicken's neck all right.
Yeah.
Killed him. He strangled my pet. I'm not about to forget Albert.
Poor kid. But I don't suppose you remember the time when during the Depression when there was lots of horse meat being sold down in the market downtown.
Sure.
And some of that meat was beautiful to look at. 'Cause I was seeing the steaks and everything. So one day Albert came home with these beautiful steaks, you know. And I cooked them up. No, we thought that was quite a treat. Those real beef steaks, you know. When we got all through eating them, he told us it was horse meat. He waited till we got through.
Yeah, I remember it. It was terrible. We thought it was great until he told us what it was. We ruined our whole dinner. I remember the time you brought home a dead sturgeon and told us he caught it and Rennie's lake. A sturgeon in Rennie's lake.
We weren't very rich, but they had good times anyhow.
Rennie's lake. It's the size of Hicks Lake. You know what the size of this sturgeon?
He had been living here for 2,000 years.
He found that damn thing.
You remember Johnny Zeta, the Italian boy?
Oh, sure. I remember Albert Balzerini, too.
What's her name?
Albert Balzerini,
I don't remember him.
remember? And Johnny Soloria.
Yeah.
And who was the guy? Nick Telemchuk. Yeah, Russell used to fight with Nick Telemchuk all the time.
Used to what?
Used to fight with Nick Telemchuk. Remember Nick? Don't you remember Nick Telemchuk?
How about Atlee Schimmelfinnig? Do you remember him?
No, I don't.
How about Rupert Reedy? Huh?
Very fond of garlic.
Who?
Johnny Zeta, he'd come to school with garlic on his breath, and then the teacher sent him home. I think that he did that on purpose so he'd get sent home.
You remember the time that Russell rolled Albert Balzerini's head in the cow manure?
Did what?
Remember after school? He had a big fight after school?
He was always getting in a fight.
He rolled Albert Balzerini's head in the cow manure.
It was really pretty dirty.
What? Drag of the cow manure.
I remember the day the cop came out, and we lived there near the woods, you know. Vancouver wasn't built up then, Vancouver Avenue. And it was all woods, and just like the country. And some kid had left his bike over in the woods and didn't come back after it right away, and Russell fetched it home.
He sure did. He sawed the lock off. That's how he fixed it home. He sent me over for the hacksaw. And he sawed the lock off and we rolled around. But somehow or other he found out.
You were part of a criminal family.
No.
You learn something every day, don't you?
Well, you know, I remember one time he came home with a bicycle. He said he found it in the woods. Beautiful thing. He says, but just I don't know who it belongs to, but just to be on the safe side, we'll take the seat off it and put it on your bike, and then we'll give you I'll take your seat. So we transpose seats. So one day we're getting out of the swimming pool at Peninsula Park, and I go over to my bicycle, and there's a guy standing beside me. He says, "That's my bicycle seat."
Uh-oh.
"That's my bike." I said, "Not a chance. That's my bike." He says, "No, you're not going to get this bike or I'll beat your head off."
Oh, no.
And he could have done it, too. He's at least a foot shorter than I was. Anyway, I said...
His brother, but he was no more like his brother than nothing.
Anyway, I says, You're wrong, but if you're right, my brother did it. I had nothing to do with it.
That sounds like him.
And I
You know,
wouldn't.
I used to take those kids to the park 2 or 3 times a week. I'd walk up the hill up Vancouver Avenue and take them all to the park. And I'd have the baby in the buggy and the little one run alongside, and then the smaller ones would go in the swimming pool, and the older ones go in the, in the wading pool, and the older ones go in the swimming pool. And one day we were walking up Vancouver Avenue, and Norma was about 4 or 5. Gerald was 3 years older, yeah. And Gerald looked at Norma and he said, Norma, won't it be nice when we get as tall as Mother?
You always liked Norma best.
Huh?
You.
Yeah, won't it be nice when we get as tall as Mother? Now they all look down on me.
He says you always liked Norma best.
Oh, no.
You?
No.
Norma was a dumpy little kid, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was so scared she was going to grow up to be fat.
Yeah.
And now she's just the opposite. She's so thin.
She was really built like a keg.
She was chubby. She was a cute kid, though.
I didn't think she was cute. I thought she was an awful tag-along.
Huh?
I thought she was an awful tag-along.
Yeah?
She always used to tag along when we go swimming Bear Pickle. Terrible. She and Alice Ledoux and
You know, he was such an innocent kind of a kid, and Russell was just the opposite.
I
Russell
still
was
am.
the aggressive one.
They just changed places now. See?
Yeah?
He repressed all that hostility for years.
Oh, I see.
I remember Russell didn't get along too well with that Stella Cooper's mother. Remember?
Yeah.
Yeah. She called him a dirty little towhead once.
You know, Melvin was a pretty smart kid. He'd had some kind of disease, something wrong, something incurable. I don't know what it is.
Melvin?
Melvin Cooper, yeah. You know she got married again, didn't she?
Who?
Mrs. Cooper.
Mrs. Stamper?
Your name is Stamford now, yeah. And Stamford's gone, of course. She's a widow.
I hope so.
Been a widow quite a few years.